You got me running, got me running. Raise your hands up. Raise them up.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Forex Trading Asia Daily Currency Call. This is episode 310. It's the 11th of June today, 11 a.m. GMT plus 8 Singapore time. Yeah, so this is the currency call where you will get market economic updates, key support resistance levels, trade ideas, and more. This currency call is going to be very beneficial to both the long-term investors and short-term traders. Here we will be going through what could move prices, possible trade ideas, and also highlighting potential targets and risk. So a disclaimer here, any information shared during this session is not intended to be a trade recommendation. It is solely the opinion and views of the speaker. So please remember to do your own analysis prior to entering any trades. Okay, so yesterday we had the Euro monetary policy statement released. So now I'm going to get Kim Hong here, currency analyst at LCMS Traders, to give us a breakdown on what happened. All right, Kim Hong.
All right, thank you, Junwei. Happy Friday, everyone. TGIF. Okay, so as widely expected, the European Central Bank held its monetary policy unchanged. So when was it again? On Thursday, yesterday, I was telling you guys to take note of the line. Okay, let me share my screen. Now, how do I disable the annotation?
Don't worry about it. Now everyone here looks friendly, so you can continue.
Okay, until something pops up.
We are amongst friends.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so great that my laptop is not lagging today. Now, so yesterday I was actually informing you guys that to take note of this line if there's any changes to it. So apparently there's no change. The Governing Council still expects net purchases in the coming months to be conducted at a significantly higher pace than during the first months of the year. Okay, so unfortunately there's no change in this. Well, but the thing is, Lagarde, okay, during her press conference, she mentioned something about the PPP, okay, which is the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Program, okay. So she said that no discussions were made, okay, on exiting the PPP during the meeting among the committee members, okay. Why is that the case? Because she says that exiting the PPP right now is actually premature, okay. This may, like what many of the committee members had mentioned recently, that early exiting of the PPP may lead to some serious consequence if it's not controlled properly. Okay, serious consequence to the Eurozone economy, the growth, the recovery. Okay, now, so what else do we have? What else can we get out from this whole meeting, right? So if we actually look at the opening speech of Lagarde, where is it? Oh, I lost it. Okay, it's here. So they actually provided us with a new set of projections on the economic indicators. Okay, over here you can see that the committee members foresee annual real GDP growth at 4.67% in 2021. Now, previously, okay, in their forecast, I think that was back in March, if I never remember wrongly, okay, they were actually forecasting a 4% growth in GDP, okay, for 2021. However, this time around, they actually forecast a 4.6%, which is actually a more optimistic look in the Eurozone economy, okay? And 4.7% in 2022. Previously, in March, they actually forecasted 4.1%, okay, which once again is a growth, okay? This is actually a good sign that, you know, the European Central Bank is actually optimistic about the Eurozone economy, its recovery from the pandemic, all right? Now, inflation-wise, let me see if I can find the inflation projection over here, because it's quite a lengthy speech she had. Okay, it's gonna take a while. You know what? I'm just going to, I have the numbers with me, but yeah, scrolling this thing is just gonna take forever. So, okay, so in terms of inflation, okay, the central bank has actually revised upwards from its previous projection of 1.5% to 1.9%. Okay, 1.9% is very close to the central bank's inflation target of 2 to 3%. Okay, so there's an upward revision. Now for 2021, they actually revised it upwards as well from the previous 1.2 to 1.5%. Now, you see, with the upwards revision of growth, economic growth in the Eurozone and inflation, okay, given that we are only like 6 months away from the end of the year, this kind of show this slight, I would say, slight optimism from the central bank on the Eurozone economy, okay, in terms of its recovery. Also, remember that I mentioned yesterday that since April 22nd, if I'm not wrong, okay, since the last meeting, COVID cases has been dropping, okay, has been declining at quite a fast pace. So, you know, with all this going on, yes, although they may have not talked about, you know, talking about the tapering of quantitative easing, okay, we may actually want to be a bit more, I would say, bullish in euro right now, okay, because of the expectations that the central bank is having on the Eurozone economy, okay. With that, we will want to pay attention to the next meeting as well, okay, which is in July. Not sure if they're going to, once again, you know, talk about tapering, but we'll see how it goes. At least as of now, we are having a very, I wouldn't say a very, okay, I would say a slight hawkishness from the European Central Bank, okay? Now, that's all I have for you guys today. Yeah, as of, okay, actually, you know what? There's one more thing that I need to highlight, okay? G7 meetings will be held today. The day one will be held today and will be held over the weekend for day 2 and day 3 as well. So for traders out there, if you guys are actually trading, you know, you might want to be careful with holding your trades over the weekend, okay? Because the G7 meeting, we are not sure what they're going to be talking about, okay? There are news out there that says that they may be talking about the whole, the UK, you know, the whole UK EU sausage war, you know, thing, whereby, you know, the UK has not been catching up with the whole implementation of border checks at Northern Ireland. So that may be something that they may be discussing about during the meeting. And another potential issue that they may be talking about is the, you know, how the whole G7 is going to, you know, cooperate with each other in terms of, you know, sort of like a trade war. I wouldn't say it's a trade war, but it's more like a how to deal with China thing. So it may actually cause some movement today, okay? And if any major announcements were to be made over the weekend, then we may actually be seeing a gap in the Forex market, okay? So if the gapping is in favor of you, then that's good. But if it's not in favor of you, it may actually cause, you know, stop losses to be triggered at a way beyond, you know, level than what was being initially set. Okay, so just a caution here. Okay, with that, I'll hand it back to Jinwei.
Okay, thanks for that, Kim Hong. Yeah, so right now I will get Scott Andrews from Forex Briefcase Australia to share with us on the dollar index. Scott.
All right. Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us as well. Let me try and I just want to work out how to disable. We'll see. It's not quite clear. So anyway, please be friendly, everyone. So US dollar. Now, I did a little fear mongering yesterday, honestly, in regards to If you recall, I drew that tick and it was quite, high into the near 1950s. But, really what we saw was, and, in the EchoFin chat with the trading club, we saw a great deal of volatility about an hour after. But, in the morning, I get up quite early. I'm in the same time zone as, Singapore as well. And I like to digest what's, been talked about by, the commentators and things like that. And it looked, we had bond yields down. We had, clearly inflation was up. And we also had equities high. We also saw the NASDAQ high, which is typically, it's an inverse relationship. So if we've got inflation higher, which is a suggesting factor that interest rates, are gonna, have to go up sooner than expected with what's been going on in regards to, just the inflation pressures, but we didn't see that. So, and gold, hasn't really done a great deal. It is hovering around 1900. So just taking all that in, it's an interesting situation. And, last night there weren't really many fantastic, trading opportunities either. And it just looked like the market sort of nearly had really that priced in, and then it was, quite uneventful. I saw a few people, in Twitter that, were just talking about, they were calling it beforehand. It was quite interesting to see how it all played out. And even in the crypto market, that was pretty docile too. So, I wrote in my article in Forex Trading Asia this morning that we're going to really have to see a significant catalyst. And what that means is someone in regards to central banks are going to have to step up. And that's what we have to look for, with who is going to start going, okay, let's just take the foot off the gas here a little bit. So, translated to trade ideas, it just means that you've just got to sort of stay back and wait a little bit. It also depends on your strategy. If you are a longer term trader, then obviously it makes life a little bit easier because you have really wide stops. You're risking a proportionate amount of the account. So longer term for the US dollar, it's going to have to be the currency that, I guess, the Federal Reserve have to do something. But if they continue not to, then you got to say that it's just going to be held down, because the market will, it freaked out initially when the bond yield sort of broke around 1.7 on the 10-year. But now what we see is very much, it's just flat, and there's debt that's accumulating still, and asset purchase program is still continuing. So we'll just have to wait and see. But that's the thing we have to look for. Next week, we've got the Federal Reserve meeting. So, pay attention to that. I believe it's on the 16th. And tonight there's a little bit for tonight that should be interesting. At 2200 GMT plus 8, we've got the US sentiment preliminaries. So 84 is the forecast, the Michigan sentiment. So we'll see what happens there. And, breaking down what we saw last night, we had jobless claims were a little high at the revised figure, and also inflation, beat forecast. But again, it looks like things were sort of priced in for that. So nothing really to report, and it was pretty uneventful. So let's wait and see who pulls the trigger first with talking about tapering, and maybe someone talks about a rough time for that, but we'll have to wait and see. So that was the US index, guys.
All right, thanks for that, Scott. Yeah, so today is Friday. Our currency in focus today is Canadian dollar and cryptocurrencies. So first off, for Canadian dollar, let's get Jin here, Jin Dao Tai, from founder of LCMS Traders and a multi-million-dollar trader, trading account more than $15 million on a daily basis. All right, Jin, pass the time to you now for the Canadian dollar.
All right, good morning, everyone. So US CAD, looking at that US CAD today. But before I get into the US CAD, there's a funny thing yesterday when we were talking about how hasn't been too much volatility, not expecting big moves coming around. What actually ended up happening was, despite no real big surprise news coming around, we still saw the markets, especially the yen pairs, jumping quite significantly. So I'll try and avoid saying that we're not going to see a lot of movements in the market, because that usually leads up to big movements from that point onwards. Right, so looking at the news here on forextradingasia.com, economic calendar, what could happen, what could push prices for the US CAD. Today, looking at it, we do have the pound GDP numbers coming out, which we've spoken about on Wednesday. A lot of pound news, 2 euro news, and then just the US consumer sentiment looking like it's going to be a relatively good number. US consumer sentiment expected to go from 82.9 to an 84. The consumer expectations going from 78.8 to a 79. So you can see looking at some upward move, but not a big change in number. Not a big change in number. As we are at the end of the week, one thing to pay attention to is what could happen next week, because most likely if you're entering a trade for the US CAD or a longer term trade for the US CAD, you might be holding it over the weekend, although Kim Hong advises not to do that. You might hold it over the weekend or into next week. So what else could move the CAD for next week? We have manufacturing sales, traditionally not a big price mover. Let me see what else. We got a lot of euro and pound news, which I'll tell you about next week. We've got the CAD housing starts, not too concerned about that. US retail sales number. But more importantly, we do have, where was it? Scroll through, a lot of news next week, especially for the pound dollar and the euro. Okay, we have CPI numbers, Canadian CPI numbers next week to be released was 0.5%. CPI month on month was 0.5%, expected to be a 0.4. Again, at this point, not a big change in terms of that CPI number. The year on year expected to go from 3.4 to a 3.2%. Inflationary number at this point at 3.2%, if it does come out at 3.2, is going to be quite a good indication that the Bank of Canada has pretty much achieved their target or coming very close to maintaining their target. So I don't expect big surprises at that point. And then on Thursday, what you have to pay attention to is we have the FOMC meeting minutes, the statement, the rate decision, and the projections. We'll talk more about that next week, but that could impact the US CAD because the US dollar is one of the currencies attached to the US CAD. And then that is not going to change prices too much. And that's it. So you can see that into next week, what we're going to have is CPI numbers for the CAD. What we're going to have is the US FOMC being released on Thursday morning. With all that, so no big surprises coming around. What could happen on the US CAD here on the H4 time frame? Why I've zoomed out that much to show you is for the last one, or this week, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, it's really set below that 1.2148 resistance level, 1.2148 resistance level, and it has struggled to go anywhere below 1.2020. Trading within that rather tight 120 pip range. It has been bouncing in that horizontal fashion. Expectation right now is I'll zoom it in a little bit. Expectation right now is for it to continue sitting across. My expectation is for it to continue sitting across, possibly tracking a little bit lower, but predominantly across up until next week when we see the CPI numbers and also the US FOMC being released. Possibly, I'm looking for that speculative trade for it to sit across and test that 1.2148 to look for that upward move, towards 1.2283 and possibly higher from that point after. But Nothing much to do here. Let it sit across, let it break. If it does go up, let it break above 1.2148 to track higher towards 1.2283. If you're ready to manage your trade closely, then you could be looking at it in the shorter time frame and trading that range. Similar to what we did last week and 2 weeks ago, although expecting that a move across, that short-term move down or that rejection of the resistance level to track lower, you could be trading those opportunities, but that would also mean that you need to manage it a lot more closely. All right. So on a US CAD, probably a sit and wait at this point in time. But what I would be doing is I'll be sitting, waiting for buying opportunities if it does break above that 1.2148 resistance level.
Okay, thank you, Jin. Yeah, so today is Friday again. So the cryptocurrencies, I'm going to get Daniel here, Daniel Cheong from LCMS Traders, trading coach at LCMS Traders, to share with us a little bit on the cryptocurrency. Daniel.
Okay, I just type finish the US CAD trade idea that we have. Then okay, so yeah, cryptocurrencies. So cryptocurrencies has been following quite closely with the forex market, the major currencies. In fact, it has been moving more or less moving across ever since the drop of the cryptocurrencies. Now, if you take a look at the charts right now here, you can see on Bitcoin. Okay, it has been moving after the big push downwards. It breaks the 45,000 level and now holding at 30,000 level, and it's ranging, moving across for the past week. Not much movement. However, you can see that there is a channel, downward channel coming in, a downward pressure pushing on the Bitcoin. Now, if you look at Bitcoin right now, and you can see in a 4-hour chart, it has been really very nice. This channel, downward channel coming down, very downward pressure in. And what has happened? If you look at the market for the past 2 weeks, there's a lot of bad press coming for Bitcoin coming in. First of all, we have talked about the regulations, various countries' regulations coming in saying they want to look into Bitcoin, into the cryptocurrencies and regulate it. Of course, they have not announced any much details coming in. However, if you take a look at the recent bad press, or that the hackers were asking for cryptocurrencies coming in, the hack of a lot of some of them, especially in the US companies, hacking, demanding ransom from Bitcoin, and right now, really a lot of governments are looking into this, and it's giving a lot of bad press coming in. That's why I think the Bitcoin will continue to stay, have a downward pressure coming in, rather than any whales or any push upwards in the outward direction. So if anybody is trading, not holding Bitcoins, but trading the Bitcoin coming in, just be careful. Just be careful. If you're looking to buy, this probably is not the time to buy. My hold is still that if it only goes up above the 45,000 range, would you be considering to look for a buy where there is a possibility of an upward momentum? Now, for those who are trading, and you still want to trade here, I will say that you look for the short-term trades. And if you look at a 1-hour candle chart for those short-term traders, it is really very nice coming in. I would suggest trade with the channel strategy coming. If it comes close to this top trend line or the bottom trend line, then you could look for a buy and sell within this range, because this right now, this range of the channel, within the channel, it is looking quite strong here right now. So, but just be careful where Bitcoin does move a huge amount. Okay. So last of all, I would like to highlight is that ultimately the downward pressure, I'm looking at it technically, it is below the 200 EMA line. You can see the price is below the 200 EMA line, and that's where a lot of traders, a lot of people will think that the downward pressure of a sell momentum may continue to be there, and it needs to really, when I say cross above the 45,000 range, I would like it to break above the 200 EMA before even consider saying that, hey, you know, a buying momentum or possible buy trade, and whether the push for euphoria for the Bitcoin to move all the way up will come back again. So we take note of this. A lot of retailers are looking into that, because it drops below the 200 EMA, the downward pressure or the selling pressure will be there, continues to be there. Okay, I'll leave you there. Ether, now my favorite, Ether coming in. So Ether, you look at it, before the down uptrend, before the push, the strong push down, and right now what we are seeing, two things. On a long-term trade on a daily chart, you could see the orange line here, triangle. You see a triangle forming, and now you can see that actually after the push down, there is a slightward pressure upwards, but more or less for the past week or so, it has been consolidation between the 2,900 range and the 2,500 range level. Now we look at this pattern with this possible uptrend coming in. There could be a possibility, a longer term possibility trend where if it breaks above, I would say it breaks above the this trend line here, above this 2,900 level, and it really close above that, then you will possibility a push up towards 3,500, 3,400 range, or even going up to a possible of a 4,000 level range. It will not be going up so strongly fast up here like 4,150. It probably slow moving upwards. We have to see 3,400 level range. If it breaks, and if it breaks above that, then a possibility, a longer term trade possibility of moving upwards. Okay, so this is one. However, on a short term notice that you can see after this downtrend, and you can see here a green line, you can see a triangle also forming a short term trend. Okay, for the past time, there is another triangle. However, this is following a downtrend. I'm worrying about this downtrend here. If it follows the Bitcoin momentum pushing in Ether, then it could continue to push all the way down to a 2,000 level range. But I think this right now, it's I'm not so strong in terms of that bias, because the price, and you can see here, has been rejecting that around to 2,489 or 2,500 level really very nicely. Strength. Wait for it. If it actually really breaks below the 2,200 and 3,000, then you'll be starting to worry. But right now, supported him very strongly at 2,489. Here, this level here. So looking at it, I think this week it could move across. Most likely it's going to consolidate, move across, and if it really breaks the above the 2,800 level or 2,900 level, then you possibly see an upward trend moving up. Okay, so Ether a little bit more optimistic compared to the Bitcoin, where it really got lots of bad press coming in. So just watch out for it and trade well, trade safe. Okay, Jinwei.
Okay, thanks for that, Daniel. All right, so just a reminder again, everybody, any information shared here is not intended to be a trade recommendation. It is solely the opinion and views of the speakers. So remember to do your own analysis prior to entering any trades. Okay, so we have come to the end of the session. I've just posted some links in the chat. So to join the free Telegram channel via the link, there are free signals inside. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, LCMS Traders YouTube channel, for the daily recordings. And if you want the faster signals, or you want to learn the strategy behind the signals that you get in the Telegram group, even get suggested level, join the webinars and learn more, get some coaching, do join the Traders Club. And if you're looking for someone to trade your account for you, a managed account service, check out forexbriefcase.com. All right, so it's Friday. We have come to the end of the week and the end of the session today. So have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see everybody on Monday for the Aussie and Kiwi. Thank you and goodbye.